Thank you very much, Commissioner, and the Deputy Minister, and the colleagues who are here, members of the media. I would like at the outset to pay tribute and send the condolences of our government and particularly the National Treasury to the Director General of the African Development Bank in South Africa, Dr. Tonia Candiero, who passed away last week. We wish that her family, as well as members of the AFDB as a whole, will be comforted during this difficult time and find peace in the knowledge that she is resting. We will forever remember her contribution to the cause of Africa's development and particularly to our country. The choice of launching the tax season in Soweto couldn't have come at a more appropriate time for two reasons. The one, because we've just concluded the Youth Month, remembering the gallant contribution of the youth of Soweto particularly, but the youth of South Africa in general, to the struggle for freedom. From time to time, history had placed an enormous responsibility on the shoulders of the youth of our country and called upon them to undertake such gallant actions as would propel the nation and the struggle forward. The South African history speaks for itself. The youth of our country, whenever they were called upon to do so, they never refused the challenge, nor did they fail in executing the tasks placed on their shoulders. The people of Soweto contributed on the 16th of June the finest of their offsprings, the best of their own. We come back here today to reaffirm that sense of social responsibility and social active citizenship that has always been characteristic of the people of this huge township. Everywhere else in the world, the peoples of the world know not only Soweto because of South Africa, but they also know South Africa because of Soweto. But the second reason is the difficulty that the South African economy is in at the present moment. We couldn't have chosen a better venue for the launch of the 2017 tax season because the peoples of this township have already, in the history of our country, demonstrated how citizens can embrace the responsibilities of citizenship and act in a socially conscious and responsible manner to contribute towards, as I have said, the propulsion of the nation. The message is our people should not despair and lose hope. and they must continue doing what they have to do on their part to help uplift our economy and country. And they do that by making their contributions during the tax season. South Africa prides itself in the numbers of its own people who contribute towards our revenue generation. So that when we outline our budget, a great deal of that budget would have been drawn from South Africans paying their taxes. That has an enormous impact, not just on affirming the sovereignty of our nation, but it has an enormous impact on ensuring that we are able as government to fulfill our responsibilities to our people. The two things are related one to the other. Because a government that cannot rely on its own resources, on the resources and the resourcefulness of its own people, to finance socio-economic development, to finance our own democracy, cannot stand proud among the other nations of the world and claim sovereignty. The numbers of South Africans who continue, even at these difficult moments, to comply with their tax obligations is an affirmation of our democracy, a reminder of the responsibility we all carry towards our nation and the freedom we achieved in 1994. It is also a statement of faith by South Africans in their own capacity to do whatever they can and will have to do, whatever they will be called upon to do, in order to take this country to where they want it to be. I don't think we need to underestimate just that little fact. In actual fact, when all is said and done, that little fact becomes the most important fact. Because the responsibility to build our country cannot belong to somebody else. It belongs first and foremost to me. It belongs to you. It belongs to every taxpayer. So all of us undertaking our responsibility as we ought to, paying our taxes, avoiding tax evasion, being honest with our incomes, declaring them so that that which must be extracted from them in order to support our democracy is done, is at the end of the day an important act of responsibility. So as we launch the tax season, we call on all South Africans to play their part, to do what they have to do, to pay unto Caesar that which is due unto Caesar. But unfortunately, fortunately, because we are a democracy, Caesar no longer lives at the expense of society. With our people's taxes, we pay back unto the people through the fiscus, so that there are roads, there is electricity to support our economic infrastructure, to pay for our social infrastructure, so that there are social income grants, so that we can continue to support free basic education, so that we can continue to support primary health care. And with the passage of time, to support the national health insurance. All of our actions put together will assist the South African economy to recover. So there shouldn't be anyone among us who sits in their little area and say, I am small, invisible, and unimportant. That the little I have to pay in the form of tax, if I withhold it, nobody will notice and there will be no impact. What the people of Soweto taught us in 1976, in the years before and the years after 1976, is that every action counts. Every individual matters. What you do as an individual contributes to the collective effort that takes the nation to a higher pedestal of political and socio-economic freedom. The most urgent challenge before the people of South Africa today is to address the triple challenges of poverty, inequality, and unemployment. Our taxes make a contribution towards that effort. Our taxes ensure that we can contribute positively in building confidence in our economy and raising its level of growth in a manner that is inclusive, that creates jobs. Ultimately, I would like to see the numbers of people who are employed increasing and the numbers of people obtaining social grants decreasing. That means that every South African must play their part towards that initiative, so that we can get all of our people working. But going hand in hand with a conscious and active and responsible citizenship is a conscious, active, and responsible institution, the South African Revenue Service. I think on the one part, we pride ourselves in just how well South Africans comply with their tax responsibilities. We far outperform many even in developed countries in terms of our tax reach and tax compliance. We could do more. We must do more. We must never reach a stage of absolute perfection, because nobody can. We must continue improving. We must continue getting better. But we also pride ourselves in having an institution like SARS credible, modernized, strong, and able to fulfill the responsibilities it must fulfill to our democracy. It is our responsibility in the South African Revenue Service to ensure that South Africans continue having faith in the institution, to develop the capacity of the Revenue Service to continue reaching out to all South Africans wherever they are, particularly those who are trying to hide for malicious reasons. SARS has transformed and modernized its systems and processes to the best technology tools and innovations available to provide efficient, real-time, and convenient services to taxpayers. Government is serious and committed to helping SARS retain its position as a capable, modernized tax and customs administration whose services and capabilities are equal to, if not even better, to its peers in the world. That requires a lot of effort. And so when we launch this tax season, we know that we always set ourselves the target to collect more, to reach more people than the previous years, mindful of the difficulties in the economy, and that some of the targets that we may have reached when the economy was growing at 4 or 5% may not be reached. But the work that SARS does is linked to the work that we do in the entire economic sector, both government and business, as well as labor, to lift business confidence, to lift consumer confidence, to get more people employed, to invest more money in the economy, so that we can expand the revenue base. We understand, therefore, the responsibility we have. As I said on Friday, we will be announcing an action plan. Now, an action plan with timelines to implement certain structural reforms in the economy in order to boost business confidence and hopefully boost as well household consumption, so that we can get the economy reignited. I am mindful of the fact that those interventions are a step towards what we need to do to implement meaningful, significant changes that will get the economy growing at about 6% and more. So SARS doesn't solve all the problems we have, because SARS also depends on us in other sectors doing what we have to do. But SARS must continue to demonstrate efficiency in reaching even those, in reaching everybody who is eligible to pay tax, collecting every tax available, particularly those that are trying to avoid the responsibility to pay the tax. We must continue to improve. I think we take pride, as I have said, in the fact that even in difficult economic conditions, the Revenue Service has continued to collect in excess of R1 trillion. We are in a difficult economic environment at the present moment. But the target we have set already exceeds the target that the Revenue Service met last year. For them to exceed that target, they need the economy to be kicking. And so we are here not merely to support you in your effort, but to reaffirm to the Revenue Service our commitment to our obligations. That we will also do all we have to do to lift the mood of the economy, to reignite growth in the economy, so that you can meet your targets. Our support is not merely spiritual, it's actually practical. But your responsibility must equally affirm the faith that the confidence that we have in you, you must reward it. I think South Africans love hearing good stories about, at the end of the tax year, that year we've raised over R1 trillion and a few hundred billions on top of that. So, tax season is on. The emphasis is on three things. It's on a socially conscious and responsible citizenship. Whether we are talking about individuals or corporates, you want socially conscious and active and responsible citizenship. The emphasis is on an efficient and responsible institution, the South African Revenue Service. To all our workers around the country, in all the 9 provinces of South Africa, in every town, in every village, you have hard work before you. Undertake it with a great level of responsibility and consciousness yourselves, knowing that our country depends on you, that our democracy is affirmed by your actions, and our sovereignty depends on the work you do to collect revenues that support this democracy. And the third pillar of my message this morning is that government will do its part. Government will do its part to reignite growth in the economy. We will continue to harness all the social partners, business, labor, and other social partners in a social contract to boost confidence in the economy. It's important that in good and in difficult times, all social partners commit to working together for the common good of our country. I have been meeting with different organizations of business. We have scheduled engagements with labor. We want to get everybody focused on the task of building the economy and reigniting growth, boosting business confidence, getting investments going, so that we can create the jobs we need to expand the tax base. It's quite obvious to me that we need to do things differently and to work a bit harder in order to achieve all of this, so that the low growth doesn't become a vicious cycle with low government spending, low household consumption, low investments, low incomes, but that we can turn the cycle around and get the economy kicking on all fronts. A lot of energy will be required, tough decisions on everybody's part, a commitment by everyone, a sense of leadership from everyone. But in times like these, it is in moments like these when the resilience of the nation is tested that leaders raise their hands up and distinguish themselves by their actions. I call for leadership from all social partners, because the work that SARS has to do, they cannot do alone. Thank you very much.